Are your eggs sticking, browning too fast, or falling apart? Well, it's not your eggs, it's your pan. Watch this video to learn the right way to cook eggs on titanium, stainless steel, and non-stick pans. Let's start with stainless steel pans. Start by heating the pan slowly over medium or just below medium heat. To check if it's ready, flick a drop of water onto the surface. If it beads up and bounces around the pan instead of evaporating immediately, the pan's ready. This step is crucial for preventing sticking. Now the part that really makes a difference. Turn the heat down to low and wait for about 5 to 10 seconds before adding the oil or butter. This way, the fat creates a smooth surface that keeps your eggs from sticking. If you add the fat before preheating, it'll burn by the time your pan gets hot enough. Now, add your eggs and give them a few seconds to set before moving or stirring. Patience really is everything with stainless steel. If you try to flip or stir too soon, the eggs will stick. Once you get the timing right, stainless steel pans can give you beautifully cooked, evenly golden eggs you'll be proud to serve. Now let's talk about non-stick pans. These are very forgiving and really beginner friendly, so the eggs usually slide right out, but there are still a few tricks to get them perfect and avoid burning. Start by preheating the pan on medium heat for about a minute. Now you want to avoid high heat because overheating could damage the surface and burn your eggs. You don't need the water chop method here, so just add a tiny bit of butter or oil. Non-stick pans don't need much fat, but a thin layer will help your eggs cook evenly and it adds flavor. Add your eggs as soon as the butter melts and give them a moment to set before gently lifting or flipping. With non-stick pans, you can usually move them earlier than with stainless steel, but it still helps to let the proteins firm up just a bit. Want super soft, pillowy scrambled eggs? Start them in a cold pan and cook them with a little butter over low heat. This helps the proteins from setting too quickly, so the eggs cook evenly with no dry bits. Now this next part is really important when cooking with non-stick pans. No matter how you like your eggs, always use a wooden or silicone spatula to stir or flip them. Metal utensils can scratch the surface, and once that coating's damaged, food will start sticking. With non-stick pans, eggs do move around and slide easily, but the coating wears down over time. So overheating or using the wrong utensils can make them wear out faster. And finally, cooking eggs with titanium pans. They're lightweight, durable, and extremely heat efficient, but the key to cooking eggs right with them is proper preheating. That means warming the pan on medium heat for about a minute or two. Titanium pans heat evenly thanks to their layered core, so you don't need high heat. To check if your pan's ready, do the same water drop test. Flick a tiny drop of water onto the surface, and if it evaporates immediately, the pan's still a little bit too cool, but if the drop forms a bead and dances across the surface, your pan is perfectly preheated. Now, add a little butter or oil and let it melt and spread all over the pan. Then crack your eggs straight into the pan and whisk them first if you're making an omelet. At first, the eggs might slightly grab the pan, but that's completely normal. As the proteins cook and release moisture, they'll naturally detach from the surface. So be patient. Let them sit for a moment before flipping or stirring. Keep the heat on medium or slightly lower if needed until the eggs are done, just the way you like them. And that's how you get perfectly cooked eggs with titanium pans. Now, which pan cooks the best steak? So let's start with the traditional non-stick pan. They're great for eggs, pancakes, or anything cooked gently. But once you start searing a steak or using high heat, things can fall apart pretty quickly. That's because non-stick coatings can't handle extreme heat. Once they pass around 500 degrees Fahrenheit or 260 degrees Celsius, they start breaking down and exposing your steak to toxins. And since you can't safely get the pan hot enough to build a proper crust, the steak ends up steaming rather than searing. This affects both the texture of the steak and the flavor. So instead of a deep, caramelized crust, you end up with something gray, rubbery, and not that great to eat. So if you want a truly seared and juicy steak, skip the non-stick. Keep it for low heat cooking where you don't need to push the pan too hard. Now let's see what happens when you cook a steak in a stainless steel pan. Unlike non-stick, stainless steel can take some serious heat. That means you can actually get the pan hot enough to sear your steak and build a proper crust. But cooking on stainless steel requires a specific technique. Start with a dry preheat on medium-high. To check if the pan's ready, flick a little water into the pan, and if it beads up and dances around, you're good to go. Then add your oil, followed by the steak. If you're not careful with heat, oil, or timing, your steak can stick and tear, leaving a mess in the pan. But when your pan's preheated just right, a little sticking is actually a good thing. That first contact is what builds that golden, crusty sear. And as the crust develops, the steak naturally releases on its own. If you're having to force it with a spatula, it's not ready to flip just yet. Usually about 3 to 4 minutes per side on a 1-inch steak gets you medium rare. So preheat your pan properly, watch your timing, and know when to flip. Nail it, and stainless steel will give you a juicy, flavorful steak with that perfect crust you're after. And those brown bits left in the pan after cooking, that's called fond, and you can actually use it. Just deglaze the pan with a little butter, stock, or aromatics, and it'll turn into a quick sauce right in the same pan. Finally, let's talk about cooking a steak in a titanium pan. Instead of coating, they have a pure titanium cooking surface layered over an aluminum core, a combination that heats up fast and evenly. That means you don't need extreme heat to get a good sear. And when it comes to heat, titanium can handle extremely high temperatures. It can go up to around 1,050 degrees Fahrenheit or 565 degrees Celsius. That means you can safely get it hot enough to sear a thick ribeye without worrying about scratching a coating, leaching heavy metals, or warping the pan. Now, cooking on titanium feels pretty similar to stainless steel. You still want to preheat the pan, do the water drop test before adding oil, and let the steak self-release. So when it starts sticking, don't rush it or try to flip it too early. Let the crust form, and once it's ready, it'll release on its own. That's your cue to flip. It's the same technique, but titanium is extremely durable. That means you can use metal tongs, turn the heat up when needed, and even scrub it a bit harder when it's time to clean up. Once you get it right, you're always going to get a deep crust, a juicy inside, and easy cleanup. So, nonstick, stainless steel, or titanium. Which pan makes the best steak? Skip nonstick if you want a truly seared steak. It just can't handle the high heat you need for a good crust. Keep it for gentle, low-heat cooking like eggs or quick breakfasts. Go with stainless steel if you want a beautiful steak with a deep crust and a pan sauce on the side. And if what you really want is a high-heat sear with a pan that's built to handle some serious heat, go with titanium. It heats evenly, stays stable at high temperatures, and gives you a solid crust and a juicy inside without worrying about damaging your pan. If you want to try it yourself, visit taimatitanium.com and get the best titanium pan for restaurant quality steak at home. Which pan do you usually use for steak night? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more tips on cooking better and safer.